Oh, what's up, demons and demonettes? Tis I, a Trixie Demon Queen, and today I wanted to cover the new heroes for Waves of Intrigue, including Lenya, because her banner is still kind of up and is going to be up at the beginning of the season. But before we get into it, as always, a toss a like and subscribe down below. So we're going to start off with Lenya because her banner is still up and you can still pull for her, and she's still going to be relevant. Now, it's looking like Lenya is going to be the go-to hero for pre-endless, at least on 2 of the 3 fights that are out right now. So we're going to go into it. We're going to check some logs, right? So I'm currently ranked 4th. There's a lot of variance right now, and it's kind of like due to charm sets, we're going to say, and potentially min-maxing the meta slots, right? I haven't had a chance to min-max. I ran out of attempts, so I think we're kind of stuck at this point. But what we're going to look at is we're going to look at the numbers, right? So here we have Lone Gaze, and we're just going to kind of look at the squad. It's more of a melee fixed-based squad. Coco is very chunky. She's able to kind of keep herself alive with frontline and her shielding and the healing she gets from Mikola. So you can see Lenya does a ton of damage here. So she's kind of like the go-to. She out DPS's Odie in comparable units and just in testing in general, right? So it's just the squad just works better with Lenya in it. Because, I mean, if we go to like a comparable, she does 20 million more. So she's just better overall than Odie, at least on Lone Gaze. She's kind of required for Orson on pre-endless because he builds defensive stacks. They're kind of like Albedo armor. You remove those by stunning him, and no one stuns quicker than Lenya, right? So if we go to Orson, this is kind of our best record. Now, we were 10th overall. I ran out of attempts just for testing. We don't get enough, right? So we had 314, so she did a ton of damage. Could I maybe, like, I wanted to get to test Sinbad in this format over, say, a Rainer. I never really got the chance because Sinbad kind of synergizes a little bit better with the melee squads, but we'll get into him and speculation on him later. But here you can see, like, we ran them together. She did slightly less damage overall, but if she has the right pieces around her, she's going to out DPS Odie in most comps. So, but if we go to like something like a Crystal Beetle, right, she's not that good just because of his mechanics. So right now she's sitting at a 2 out of 3 for Endless, with, I think, the potential for anybody else other than maybe a Crystal Beetle to be really, really good, just based on what we've seen. Alpha Bear, you know, probably going to be good there. Skyclops, the only one, maybe not Croaker, maybe not. She's kind of not good on Necro Dragon because she just kind of stands in melee. I don't think she moves around as much. So she's looking like she's gonna be a really, really good, just depending on boss mechanics and whatnot. So maybe she's like a 4 out of 8 or 5 out of 8 at the end of the day. I don't know how you feel about that. But she's looking like she's going to be, if you want that top parse for the pre-endless bosses in Dream Realm, you're gonna need her. Now, she may be a bigger factor on Orson as well. She may like be a must-have for top parses in Endless just because of Orson's mechanic. So we may need to bring her along. The rest of the components around her may change, but she may maybe have to be brought along just for her mechanic in that case. So she's looking like a must-have, at least for the Dream Realm. She's doing pretty good in Arena. We're gonna talk about Sinbad next. So here's my concern about Sinbad, right? So as you can see, I got my best parse using Sinbad here. He works, he synergizes really well. So I was thinking like, hey, I was using Rainer. Rainer is kind of a little bit better than me for me on certain fights, both at plus 15, both at S+. However, I was like, I think Sinbad's gonna be a little bit better on Lone Gaze just because Rainer dies a lot, dies very easy on the fight just because of positioning, and he doesn't do like a whole lot of damage, right? So if I go down to a comparable one where I did run Arena in a similar build, right? So Rainer doesn't do all that much damage. He does do a bigger debuff, but overall the damage was less. So anytime we had like a Sinbad on Lunges, it was better. So I think it's a matter of timing for Sinbad, right? So he looks like he could be better on those fights. I ran out of attempts. I really wanted to attempt him, use him on Orson, and in place of Rainer because of Lone Gaze. But the problem is we're not going to get to do that, and we're very limited in the number of attempts for testing, so we can't really definitively say. The only thing I will say about Sinbad is the timing of his banner, is if his banner comes out before Pre-Endless ends, he may become a must-pull. At least for Dream Realm, for some of the bosses where he synergizes well with Lenya. If he comes out when Endless is up, he may not be as desirable. So we may be able to pass on him. So it's a weird thing of his timing because it looks like we're gonna get Nara first. Now I will say, in testing, people are having a good go with him. In Arena, there's a pretty popular comp right now that uses Dunliger and Rogues, and one of those Rogues is Sinbad. But we'll have to wait and see. But right now, it's looking like a timing issue for Sinbad of when he's going to be bad or good, and he's going to be useful. Like I said, so if he's out before Pre-Endless, he'll be very useful. If he's not out before Pre-Endless, I don't know how useful he's going to be. And those are my... I was calling him Sinbad because everything I had seen, he was bad, but we finally got to the seasonal, and we started, unlocked those, and he's been... I think he has more upside for the pre-seasonal bosses, but we'll see. So we'll talk about Nara next. She's primarily an arena hero. I'm really digging her for, like, in Supreme Arena, she's been really, really strong. She does, like, this get over here mechanic, right? So she yanks the furthest hero to her. So in this case, it looks like they didn't run Enlightening. So let's check this out and see, because this is Nara. She's been pretty strong in this comp for me. This is just kind of this random comp that I threw together for map 1 in Supreme Arena. That's been like unbeatable. It's crazy. Like, it gives people so many problems, right? So let's see. All right, so they didn't run Enlightening on Dio. So she ripped Dio over, and they just shredded them, right? So since their squad is obviously heavy Dio reliant, she shredded Dianel and just kind of let everybody else do their thing, right? So she doesn't live the whole fight, but she countered Dio pretty nicely there. So she's going to be... I'll put it this way. She's going to be a factor in Supreme Arena. She's going to be a very nice tool to have in the box. And so if you are a spender, you're going to want to have Nara. That's just a tool you're going to want to have and to be able to use. I think the same thing is going to go for Dunlinger. Now, I don't think he's going to be overall that effective in overall regular Arena. I've been testing him there. I think the problem is with regular Arena is we don't have Paragon levels, so some of the heroes don't work the same, right? So, like, a Dio doesn't work the same, and, like, Lily May doesn't work the same without those extra Paragon levels, because Dio needs that extra energy on hit to get his ult off faster, to, avoid getting sniped easy. What I noticed a lot of people doing that was a mistake was they were just putting a Dunliger and replacing Thorin in the God comp that I run with, like, Lily May, because everybody copied my defense. So I said, oh, hey, I'm gonna drop Thorin for Dunliger, right? But then the problem is with Dunliger is that he doesn't shield Dio as effectively as Thorin, so Dio is very susceptible to being double sniped in those builds, right? Because the rogues seem to have a big advantage when a Dunlinger is on the field and canceling ults, right? Because he prevents ults from your side, so he doesn't synergize well with heroes like Aaron. So he's going to be a good counter to, like, say you run up against like my mid defense, right? So say for like my mid defense, I run this. So in this case, I would probably want to run a Dunlinger with some assassins around him, just to counter Aaron and counter Brian, right? From going at the start, because he sets up his order. He counters all ults at the start of battle. So he's really nice. So you would want to use him here. I mean, I use him on my defense. I kind of just set up like a basic thing with Dio. Again, Dio is just not working as well in Supreme Arena, especially with those without those Paragon levels. Dunlinger, he's going to be a factor in Supreme Arena. I just don't know how big of a factor. I think he's going to be one of those tools you're going to want to have. So you're probably going to run like your traditional like God comp core, maybe with like a Lily May. You're going to want to run maybe like, I don't know. I'm really digging this team. So this is probably something I'm going to be running in the regular Supreme Arena. On defense, it's been really good. I mean, and even the times when I do get swapped, right? So there was a win. Here it was a win, right? So even when like my other defenses failed, that's been kind of like the one go-to defense that's worked really, really well, right? So we stick Thorin on Nara to keep her alive, Ludovic, Taline, and Burial, and it's just been really, really good. So Nara is going to be like a really nice to have for your Supreme Arena. I think Dunlinger is going to be like a factor in Supreme Arena. So you're going to want to have him for that. I just don't know how heavy you're going to have to build him. That's just going to be dependent on your district and your server. So in all of the 4 heroes, I mean, you're gonna, Lenya's up if you can. Pull for her. You're going to want her for pre-endless. Sinbad, it's going to be a timing thing of when his banner drops. Nara, if you're a whale, you're going to want her because you're going to want that tool in your box. If you're a mid-spender, you may want her too because, again, she's that nice tool to have in the box. And then the same thing is going to be with Dunlinger. He may be a bigger factor in Supreme Arena. Just because there may be like a meta defense that comes up with Dunlinger. I think he has the most potential, out of all of the new heroes, for Supreme Arena, but there, again, if you're not really like concerned about Supreme Arena, you can probably pass on Nara, you can probably pass on Dunlinger, you can probably, completely pass on Sinbad. Sinbad, I think, is going to have a bigger effect in Supreme Arena too. I think he's going to play more into like a Dunlinger rogue heavy. So you'd write on like Dunlinger, Sylvina, Vala, Sinbad, and maybe like one other hero, or maybe like a Damien or something. You just have to kind of like figure it out. Maybe when we get Tassie, it'll be even better. We'll see how she plays in and how she works into the comps. My guess is she's going to be a support hero, but that's early speculation. So those are my thoughts on the new heroes, and I will catch you all in the next one. Bye!